Hi, welcome all. I recently bought a hybrid table saw. In this video, I will go through assembling this machine, doing a quick walkthrough, my initial impressions about this machine. In future video, I will go through the process of setting up this machine, calibrating it, and making it as perfect as possible. So stick around and hopefully you'll learn something new and helpful about this table saw or this type of table saw.
So the table saw arrived in a semi and the driver was quite helpful in unloading it directly into my garage. After doing a quick inspection, I was pleased that nothing was damaged, at least from the outside, so I started unpacking it. One thing I would recommend though is if you have any help, please take it. This is not a single person job. This thing is quite heavy. I underestimated how heavy it was. After unpacking a bunch of boxes and plastic covers, I was ready to lift it and put it on ground. So what I'm doing now is gently sliding the saw onto a piece of cardboard and lifting it to stand upright. If you have help, please do take help. Especially if you have back issues, do not attempt to do this by yourself. It's quite heavy. Once the table saw was in an upright position, the next challenge was to build the mobile base. This saw does not come with a mobile base. You had to buy it separately. That means you had to assemble it and then lift the saw and put it on the mobile base. What I did here was I started building the mobile base around the saw, so it was quite easy. But once it was on mobile base, it was moving freely, and I then moved on to cleaning up the anti-rust coating that was present on table saw. All I'm using here is some WD-40, spraying it liberally, and then waiting some time and then wiping it clean. Once I applied paste wax to both the main table and the extension wings, I started assembling them. Again, they are cast iron, so they are very heavy. I'm using a straight edge to make sure they are as level as possible. After attaching the extension wings, I started assembling the angle gauge and the height adjustment gauge. Again, very simple process. Attaching the motor cover and the back panel was also quite simple with the provided screws. The dust port was also quite simple to attach, nothing special here. This saw comes with a aluminum fence. It's a single piece, which is quite good. Attaching it was quite simple. I was quite excited to see how it would start up, so I connected the electricals and I pressed the start button, but nothing happened. Panic started to set in. I tried different outlets, then I called Busy Bee. I was able to talk to a real person on the first go, which is great. We tried various things. Then I decided to push it a little bit harder, like really hard, and then the motor just roared in.
So now that this machine is fully assembled, I did not take so much time to calibrate it, as you can see in that video, but this is as close I could get while also moving machine around, just getting it set up for a first test run. So my initial impressions. First, let's take a look at the label, which I think is quite interesting. As you can see, it is a Craftex CX series, but in the US they sell it under Grizzly name. It's the same table saw. Grizzly do rather market it as a hybrid table saw, the same one. But Craftex, that is Busy Bee Tools, market it as a 10-inch cabinet table saw. but I don't believe this is a proper cabinet table saw. This is still a hybrid table saw. Some other things to note, it's a 2 horsepower motor, 120 pre-wired, but it could also be converted to 240 volt or 220 volt single phase. It draws around 15 ampere on 120 and 7.5 ampere on 220. It has a max depth cut of 3/4 inch at 90 degrees and 2/4 inch at 45 degrees. That should be plenty enough for most people. It has a 4-inch dashboard and it weighs around 130 kilos. Now, what I think that weight refers to is the main table saw and the table. I don't think the weight includes the extension wing, which are solid cast iron, not pressed steel or aluminum like you see in other saws, and also the aluminum railings. Now, if you do a quick walkthrough, you see there is the start stop button. It could be moved around in any direction we want, which is really good. On the left side, this is the motor cover. There was this one big scratch that was always there when the saw was delivered. I also assembled this mobile stand, although I made a mistake of putting the casters and the leveling feet on this side rather than on the front. I will correct it sometime later, not right now because it is heavy. On the back side we have the cabinet cover. There are still plenty of gaps and you can see some light through it. That means we will be losing some airflow from the dust collection. Temporarily, what I'm planning to do is just to attach some duct tape probably to seal it off. And on the right side we have our 4-inch dashboard and your sliding gauge. I come from a job site DeWalt table saw, the 8/4 inch, and it had the miter gauge, that is the angle gauge, and the depth adjustment gauge on the same panel, and it was really very difficult to actually get it to a proper angle and without messing up the height. So this is a welcome change, having separate controls and in different positions. The wheels, although they look quite beefy, they are very flimsy, they are very lightweight, but they do serve their purpose. So I can lock this in. If I want, then it won't move. And then on the top, as I mentioned, all throughout solid cast iron, very heavy stuff. So please make sure you have some help when you're assembling it. It comes with a nice blade guard which can move out of way when not in when pieces are flying. They move independently, whereas in my DeWalt job site, so they were moving together. So which means it was a little bit risky if you're cutting from this side and this is also moving. That means from this side the blade is exposed. I'm not sure how good this will be with dust collection because I don't see any dust port here, whereas my DeWalt one had a if I'm not wrong, 1 inch by 1.5 inch dust port. I'm not sure how good this will be. The fence can lock, can move, which is pretty good. Not great. I can already see that it's touching this side of the table, so I need to lift it up a bit. But yeah, this looks good for the price that I paid. This is actually very good value for money. So let's take a look at the blade assembly and the riving knife and the blade guard, how it designed and how it all fits together. So the blade that it comes with is a 10-inch full curve 40 tooth general purpose blade. I'm not sure about the quality. It doesn't have any branding as to from where it's from. I'm assuming it's their in-house Craftex or Blue Tornado brand. But yeah, let's check it out how the blade quality is a little later. The riving knife. It's actually pretty good design, so it can act both as a riving knife and also the blade guard holder. And it comes with 2 wrenches, the throat plate. It comes with this throat plate for the normal blade, and also a throat plate for dado blades, which is a good thing because you don't have to buy other accessories just to use your dado blades. The design for the blade guard is quite good, as I mentioned before. It also has splitter built in. It has front blade protection as well. Obviously you cannot use this when you're doing thin rib cuts, but for most of the cuts I am planning to use this. I'm not sure how good the disc collection is on this. So let's go ahead and assemble the blade, and let's see how easy it is. So the blade, so make sure you always point your teeth towards you, not the other way around. So it should not go like this, it should always point towards you, so you see the straight. Pointing in the other direction is quite dangerous. So we put our upper lock, and then I just hand tighten the nut on the upper. One thing I did notice was in my old DeWalt job site, so there was a storage space for each and every accessories, whether it be the miter gauge or even these wrenches. In this one there is no space. I am planning to use some magnets to attach these, but they should have given it some thought to make our life a little easier. So let me just find out the alignment like this. Now it fits. I take this and I start to turn around. Now let's look at how this riving knife gets attached here. This is quite good because it's very easy to remove and attach it back, which makes it quite useful when you want to do a through cut or a non-through cut. So make sure this is in this position, and then you just slide it in here, give it a little wiggle, and it locks into 2 positions. One is this, and you can do the same thing, and you can do this. So just wiggle, slide it in, it locks into position, it won't move, and then you just do this. So again, quite easy. So once that's done, make sure to lock this in place. The throat plate. This does not have any screws. It attaches through magnet. I find that while leveling, the magnet was not strong enough to hold it in place. So I need to use it quite a bit to see how it affects my workflow. So to attach the blade, I basically take this piece and then you just slide it through. Slide it through, and then there is a knob here. You just lock it in place. Now this won't move. One thing I don't like about this design is the splitter always stays down, so there is no way I can put this in place, and I'm pretty sure it will make scratches here. Let's talk about this fence. The good thing about this fence is it has T-tracks on both sides, so you can attach accessories here. Out of box, the fence does move pretty smoothly. It's not gliding by any chance, but it's also not wobbling on me. When I lock it down, it rises a bit because there is nothing locking it in place on this side. It's just a bearing which is riding on that bar. But once it's in place, so once I lock it, it won't move, no matter what I do. You just take it like this, as you can see, it comes out easily. This fence does not have a magnifying glass, rather it has a marker on a glass-like material. You can still adjust all the settings, but a magnifying glass would be nice.
Let's make a first cut. So what I'm using is a 2x6 pine, which is pretty soft, but I just wanted to see how it would perform, especially when I'm pushing it very slowly. My old table saw left some burn marks. From what I can see here, there are no burn marks. It has quite a lot of power compared to my old saw, and it's just pushing through. Because there is no overhead dust on, there was quite a lot of dust that was thrown my way, but I just need to find a solution for that.
So I made my first cut on this table saw. It's quite smooth. The blade is actually quite good. It did not leave any burn marks. Obviously this was a 2x6 spine, but it had plenty of power to cut through it without breaking down. Dust collection, let me quickly show you. So just cutting one piece, there is a little bit of dust here, there is a little bit of dust here. Not perfect, but adequate.
Well, those were my initial impressions about this table saw. I would need more time, probably a few months, before I can form an opinion on how good it performs. But based on initial impressions, this is a good table saw to be had. I'll link the Grizzly version also in the description so that you can check it out. If you like this video, please give it a like and do subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video. Stay safe and enjoy woodworking.